While Virginia's getting started, I'm Brian Wismer. I work in Fayetteville, the city of Fayetteville, focusing on the Main Street and downtown development areas, but also citywide in planning and zoning. Today we're going to talk more focused about downtown and how that related to our trip to Franklin. Okay, well, first thing I want to just touch on, there were two places that we went to for those of you guys who were on the trip with us that really had the greatest impact on me and on what my focus is for Fayetteville. And the first being what's already been mentioned before, the renovation of the Franklin Theater. And it was really an amazing spectacle to see what they were able to come up with. They took a place that was in danger of being demolished by a developer for, I don't know, a shopping center or something, but they got a grassroots group of folks that wanted to protect the place and save it from being demolished, and they were able to raise over $8 million in their community, and as you could see, they spared no expense. It's technically not historic preservation because they really gutted the entire place and left the facade, but they did preserve the historic cultural place of having a theater downtown, and so in that sense it was certainly historic preservation. But they spared no expense on the sound and the lighting and the decor, and it's a great example of them being able to use the assets that were unique to their community and their surrounding area to really have a showcase that was really impressive. And then, of course, the other place that we visited, and actually on the same day, we went to the factory, and Matt had touched on that for a second earlier. The factory was an old mill that they manufactured some large kitchen appliances back in the 30s and 40s, I believe it was, and they had the person who owned the property and was a developer had a vision for really transforming this place and was able to recruit these high-end retail boutique places, and there's also a large performance space. I think they just recently had a CMA Music Awards broadcast live from this place. There's some classroom space there, and then there's people. One of the back buildings on this lot living in apartments on the second floor. So it's a great example of a mixed-use development, but. Again, just the product of somebody with a vision to be able to carry out such an amazing showcase. And when we were walking through these places, and I was hearing all kinds of comments. This is amazing. This is something we need to do in our community. And so everybody's getting excited about it, and I am too. And so when we come back home and we try to think, how can we relay the successes of what we saw there in Franklin to our local community. And so I've got Franklin versus Fayetteville. I mean that comparatively, not competitively, but some of the things that they have and how that compares to what we've got here. And the biggest thing I think, far and away, that Franklin benefits from is they're a suburb of the hugely successful Nashville music scene, and they've got this laundry list of huge celebrities and all the money that comes with them and all the ancillary businesses that come in that music industry and recording and other production services and things. So there's a huge draw over into Franklin. And so, they know what they have there, and they've done an incredible job of really leveraging those assets to get the celebrity endorsements and the financial support, I'd mentioned at the theater, they spent no expense on creating a stage set that anybody nationwide would be comfortable coming in and performing, and that certainly helped their ability to raise funds there. Well, we're certainly not chopped liver here in Fayetteville. We, as I mentioned with Matt and with Nancy, we're a suburb of the burgeoning Metro Atlanta and statewide film scene. And that's going to continue to grow and develop. I mean, we've got these residency productions going on with the zombie film of the Divas, the Diva production. So, that's going to continue to grow and develop. And so we need to be aware of those people are going to be looking at Fayetteville and considering Fayette County as a place to locate. And we need to be aware of, what do we need to do to be open to the kinds of things that will be they'll make Fayette County attractive, that might, because it's a different market from what we've traditionally looked at. And so, you know, a new level of thinking, when you hear new ideas being mentioned, think about how that'll affect the appeal of Fayetteville and Fayette County to these different groups that are coming in. And I mentioned Zach Brown. We don't have a lot of folks, but we've got probably one of the biggest country music stars right now that is building a camp in Fayetteville. He's mentioning Fayetteville and Fayette County on the national stage at his concerts, on TV. So he's really bringing a lot of notoriety to our neck of the woods. And so that's something that we need to continue to be able to try to leverage. Our building stock is something different from Franklin. Obviously, we don't have a large mill to go in and do a great infill redevelopment. One of the nicest examples we do have in our downtown is we renovated the old school building to our city hall, and that was a great reuse of buildings. But we don't have that housing or that commercial building stock, historic building stock, to be able to take advantage of those type of rehab opportunities in the same way. So we have to look at what we can do to be able to try to do something similar that that creates that excitement level, like those examples that we saw in Franklin. Just about a year ago, our Downtown Development Authority created a land use plan that was designed to expand our downtown. Our downtown's really, we've got 1 square block around the courthouse with the really historic properties there. And so we looked at what can we do to expand that theme and that historic appeal to make a larger area to accommodate growth. And so we've got a great land use plan for that extends westwardly all the way to connect to the village development. So that's something that as development occurs, we'll be poised to be able to offer a plan for folks to help guide that, excuse me, guide that development. And then what do we, one of the things we have in common with our cities, I was really surprised when I had a chance to speak with the economic development director there, and was asking him about downtown and how is that 20 to 30 population that Matt brought in, showed us in our survey, that is showing is on the decline. And I asked him, the downtown was really great. Do you have a lot of young professionals moving in to downtown Franklin? He said, surprisingly, no, because they've pretty much outpriced the market. All that housing is so high end, and the shopping there is so high end retail, it doesn't really offer a lot to that market. And most of the kids, when they graduate, if they want to live in a downtown environment, they're moving to Nashville, is what he told me. So I thought that was surprising. We have that similar issue here. We have folks that move, excuse me, to Atlanta. And so that's something that I'm trying to focus on and help to work on making Fayetteville more appealing to that age group, and trying to do things that will kind of change that perception that we have. We have, as Matt had mentioned, we've got plenty of aging in place and a lot to entice the 45 or 55 and over market. So we don't have to, we're already doing all the right things there to entice that group, and so we just want to make sure that we've got people at the right age to be able to service that age group. So we want to make sure that we continue to focus on that age group as well, so that we can have a more well-balanced community. And then the kumbaya that everybody had on the trip, it was a great experience. The question is, how do we capture that enthusiasm that we all had? Like I said, I had a lot of people asking me, what can we do to help further your efforts, and how can we contribute? And so I just kind of came up with a few. These aren't the only things, but one of the things is just to be more supportive, more vocal in the community about the programs that we do. We just had a hugely successful parade downtown with a tree lighting, had huge numbers out to there, but we also do lunch on the lawn on the courthouse square, which is for the business community to come out and support that. the more that participation we can get and the more heads we can have turning when folks are driving by and say, hey, you know, what's going on in Fayetteville? This place is really worth checking out. I need to take a second look. We do market days every month. It's a great opportunity to support local business and entrepreneurs that are out there. We have probably 40 to 60 vendors out there every month. We do a free movie night with free Chick-fil-A. I mean, it's a no-brainer. You can feed your kids for nothing. So you know, that's a great way to help spread the word that we're doing things to create excitement and vitality in our downtown. This kind of parallels what the example that the Franklin Theater was totally done through the private community. A group of concerned citizens just got together to save it, and they were able to acquire some large financial individual donors to their credit. But certainly there's specific projects in the city that would be appealing, that are important to individual groups, and finding what that is to be passionate about and trying to build that groundswell of support to be able to carry out a specific initiative. We've talked in the past about making murals on the walls. Those aren't cheap by any means. There's different improvements to buildings that can be done. Some of our historic buildings that we have along the historic area on Jeff Davis have been sitting vacant for some time, and there's only a matter of time before they're unsavable. And so those are also opportunities to look at to you know, how can you contribute. And then another way, I'm just going to give a quick plug here to, there's an upcoming agenda on the state legislature called the Georgia Downtown Renaissance Act. That'll be on next year's agenda. So what that does is, well, it's got a lot of high-profile support right now through individuals and other organizations. But what it does is it creates $30 million in state income tax credits that's very specific to downtown redevelopment. There is a focus on job creation. There's a specific set of those funds that are also focused just on residential downtown, which everybody knows if you don't have, sorry, losing my voice. If you don't have a critical mass downtown, you'll never have that 24/7 environment. And so that's a very important aspect of downtown development. And it's great that they've set aside specific monies just for that. And then the interesting part, too, is they've created a low-interest loan fund. Oh, great. Thank you. Excuse me. There we go. There's my voice. Hey, all right. Hey, everybody. This low-interest loan fund, it allows the private community to contribute into this. And it's basically dollar for dollar, 100% tax deduction that you can contribute monies to a low-interest loan fund to be used specifically for downtown projects that qualify. So that's a huge potential there for increased monies to be accessed for downtown development. So I would just encourage anybody with connections at the state level to encourage support of that. I think normally this would probably be a no-brainer, but with all the budget cuts, it's certainly not a shoo-in. And so I just wanted to make everyone aware of that. It is something that could be significant in helping in downtown redevelopment. Well, it's probably just going to be downtown, and they haven't set the criteria for what that is. But I'm from the folks that are sponsoring it, Georgia Cities and Georgia Downtown Association. I suspect it's going to be historic, probably. Yes. Mm-hmm. So just along the lines of what I was talking about earlier, we do have some good positive activity that's going on that I think will help to bring some appeal to a larger demographic than what we're naturally able to entice. Earlier this year on the square, we've had a consignment store that focuses on clothing for juniors and children, which is important to help bring those people downtown. And then Twisted Taco, a Tex-Mex type of restaurant that is a Downtown Development Authority success story that we're going to have rooftop dining out there. It'll be the only facility like that on the south side, so we're really excited about that. As Matt had mentioned earlier, that I-20 line, it was a huge deal to be able to sell Fayetteville to folks that are typically north side centric. And so that was a huge deal to be able to get this group that have 7 locations on the north side and then Fayetteville. So that's a big deal for us. Excuse me. And that'll be opening in the spring. We have a new Indian restaurant that's in the Main Street Village just a block north of downtown, I believe. I saw the sign that that's actually going to be opening today. So maybe tonight for dinner we can check out the new restaurant there. And then lastly, the CrossFit gym, if you're not familiar with that, that's a new fitness regimen that is very communal. But it's very popular with the younger age, that 20 to 40 demographic. And they've opened up a facility just on the south end of our Main Street district. And they open in an area that's traditionally just been auto-related uses. So we're excited to see something different going in that area. And they're going to be jogging through downtown and discovering downtown Fayetteville. And it's just going to be one more asset, one more factor that's going to keep more activity going through our downtown. So, excuse me, we're very, very excited to see them coming into Fayetteville, and they'll be opening soon. Matt had also mentioned Zach, and I touched on him. He recently became the title sponsor this year to our amphitheater. Contrary to public opinion, he didn't buy the amphitheater. The Development Authority still owns the amphitheater, much in the way that Phillips Arena is not owned by Phillips Electronics. Southern Ground, the name of his label, is our title sponsor for the next 5 years. And so we recently, last month, had a performance there in our 1,500-seat venue, and he's not played in a venue that size in probably 4 or 5 years. So we were very excited about that, and that's the first annual. He will be doing that every year. So for the folks that wanted to come and didn't find out about it, my apologies. We will make sure we do a better effort of getting the word out for that. There we go, back again. And then lastly, just to touch on some other important things that we were able to do to help further our redevelopment in downtown, and some of this is citywide too. But we put a lot of effort in promoting and explaining to the citizens about what the TAD referendum that occurred in November on the ballot, what that was and how that could help entice redevelopment of our aging commercial centers. And we were happy to see that that passed by about a 70 to 30 margin, versus the last time we had it on the ballot, it was defeated by about 7 percentage points. So that was a big swing. And so we'll be developing the next steps in implementing that this coming year. Mayor and council passed some amendments to our zoning code to help update that and try to prepare for future needs and kind of eliminate some existing issues that we had there. We made some changes that encourage residential downtown development and live-work opportunities that weren't in the code before. We made some allowances for some newer trends in the dining industry, like wine bars. I'm sorry. I'm not crying. I'm just a little throaty here. Sorry about that. This is all good news. And so wine bars, wine tasting events, and some other things. So we're excited about how that could potentially encourage some more nightlife and activity downtown. And then lastly, the simplification of our sign code, just making it easier to administer, easier to understand for new businesses coming in. We've historically had not the best perception of dealing with signage in the city, and so we made some changes there to make that easier, and so far that has been well received. So those are the kind of things we're doing to help promote Fayetteville and make that more applicable and enticing to groups that are coming to our city. All right.